When a woman begins to pull back, the first impulse for many men is to do the very opposite of what actually works. The mind instantly jumps into a place of fear, confusion, and often panic. Thoughts swirl, questions pile up, and the urge to act quickly takes over. You might feel the need to chase her, to demand clarity, to confront her about why she is withdrawing, or to do something dramatic to pull her attention back to you. Yet this kind of reactive behavior rarely brings closeness. In fact, it often pushes her even further away. That is why the most powerful response when she backs away is not action at all. It is to pause, breathe, and reflect before doing anything. This pause is not about ignoring her or pretending you do not care. It is about reclaiming your own emotional center before you make a move. When you feel someone pulling away, it activates deep primal fears of loss and abandonment. The nervous system goes into fight or flight mode, and the body wants to protect itself by either clinging harder or retreating completely. Neither of these extremes create stability. The pause allows you to break that cycle, to step outside of raw emotional reaction, and to reconnect with clarity and strength. It is the difference between acting from insecurity and responding from grounded confidence. When you allow yourself to pause, you begin to see the situation with new eyes. Instead of rushing to conclusions about why she is backing away, you can ask yourself calmer, deeper questions. Is she creating space because she feels overwhelmed? Is she testing to see how you respond when she is not fully present? Is she struggling with something in her personal life that has nothing to do with you? The truth is, people need distance at times, and it is not always a reflection of rejection. When you pause and reflect, you gain the maturity to consider multiple possibilities rather than assuming the worst. Reflection also means checking in with yourself. What are you feeling in this moment? Are you experiencing fear that she might leave? Are you feeling anger that she is not giving you what you expect? Are you slipping into desperation because you have tied your sense of worth to her closeness? By observing these emotions without judgment, you reclaim control over them. Instead of letting fear dictate your next move, you can recognize that fear is present, but it does not have to run the show. This self-awareness creates a sense of inner stability, which is exactly the energy that makes another person feel safe to return. The pause is also a chance to regulate your energy. Relationships are an energetic dance, and when one person pulls back, the other often leans in too far. This creates imbalance and tension. By stepping back internally, breathing, and grounding yourself, you restore equilibrium. Imagine being in the ocean and noticing the tide going out. If you panic and try to chase the water, you exhaust yourself. But if you remain steady on the shore, the tide eventually comes back in naturally. The same is true with human connection. The pause allows you to trust the natural rhythm without forcing it. There is also an element of dignity in waiting. When you react impulsively, you hand over your power to the situation. You signal that you cannot tolerate uncertainty, that you must have control. But when you pause and reflect, you demonstrate emotional maturity. You show that you are not afraid of a little distance, so that you are capable of giving space without collapsing. This calmness is not only attractive, it is reassuring. It tells her that you are steady, that you are not fragile, and that you will not make the relationship heavier by dragging your insecurities into every interaction. It is important to understand that pausing does not mean avoiding. Eventually, healthy communication will be necessary, but the quality of that communication depends entirely on the state you are in when you begin it. If you enter the conversation in a reactive, panicked, or accusatory energy, she will feel attacked or pressured. If you approach after taking the time to breathe, to reflect, and to stabilize your emotions, the conversation will be softer, calmer, and more constructive. In other words, the pause sets the tone for everything that follows. By practicing this discipline, you also grow as a person. Every relationship will have moments of closeness and moments of distance. If you can learn to meet those moments with reflection instead of reaction, you become more resilient, more confident, and more capable of holding love without fear. You stop being controlled by uncertainty and start leading with steadiness. This inner strength not only benefits your relationship with her, but also every area of your life, because the ability to pause before reacting is a sign of true maturity. So the next time she backs away, resist the pull to chase, confront, or demand answers. Instead, do the harder but wiser thing: pause, breathe, reflect. Ask yourself what you are feeling, what energy you are bringing, and what might truly be happening beyond your immediate fears. Trust that stillness is more powerful than scrambling for control. By doing so, you transform distance from a threat into an opportunity to grow stronger, to deepen trust, and to embody the kind of presence that naturally invites her back with ease. When someone you care about begins to pull away, it is natural to feel uneasy. The human instinct is often to chase after what feels like it is slipping away. In romantic relationships, this can show up as over-calling, sending anxious messages, demanding answers, or trying to guilt the other person into staying close. While these reactions are understandable, they almost always backfire. What truly nurtures connection in moments of distance is respecting her space without punishing her for needing it. This approach requires patience, emotional intelligence, and a willingness to see the bigger picture of love beyond immediate gratification. Respecting her space begins with understanding that closeness and distance are natural cycles in any relationship. No matter how deep the bond, no one can stay constantly available or emotionally present every single moment. Just like the seasons shift, people need time to retreat, reflect, or recharge on their own. Her pulling back does not always signal disinterest or rejection. Sometimes it means she is overwhelmed, stressed by other areas of life, or simply needs solitude to reconnect with herself. By honoring this rhythm instead of resisting it, you communicate trust in the relationship and confidence in yourself. The challenge arises when your own fears and insecurities get triggered. You may interpret her need for space as abandonment, imagining that she no longer values you or the relationship. This fear can lead to reactive behaviors that punish her withdrawal, cold silence, passive-aggressive remarks, or attempts to make her feel guilty for not being as close as you want her to be. Though such strategies may temporarily pull her back out of obligation, they erode trust in the long run. Punishment creates resentment and pressure, while respect creates freedom and desire. To respect her space without punishing her, you first need to ground yourself in self-worth. If your identity is overly dependent on her constant attention, her distance will feel like a threat to your stability. But if you cultivate inner strength and remind yourself that you are whole even without her immediate presence, then her pulling back becomes less frightening. You begin to see that giving her space is not losing her, it is simply allowing the natural flow of connection to breathe. This mindset shift frees you from the need to control and allows you to respond from maturity instead of fear. Respect also shows up in how you communicate. Instead of blaming her for stepping back, you can acknowledge it calmly and lovingly. A simple statement like, "I sense you need some space, and that's okay. I'm here when you're ready," carries a very different energy than, "Why are you ignoring me?" or "Do you even care anymore?" The first approach shows patience and trust. The second reflects insecurity and pressure. By choosing words that honor her autonomy, you send the message that the relationship is a safe place, not a cage. Another form of respect is how you handle your own time while she is distant. Rather than waiting in agony or obsessively checking your phone, use the space for your own growth and joy. Spend time with friends, pursue your passions, focus on your health, or work toward personal goals. Not only does this prevent you from spiraling into anxiety, it also makes you more attractive. A partner who can stand strong, independent, and fulfilled while allowing space demonstrates the kind of stability that inspires trust. You are showing her that you can hold yourself together without clinging to her presence. Avoiding punishment also means resisting subtle manipulations. Sometimes punishment is not loud or obvious, but hidden in tone, silence, or withdrawal of affection. You may feel tempted to match her distance with your own coldness, hoping she will notice and come back running. But this is still a form of control, and it often escalates disconnection rather than healing it. True respect means allowing her to step back without retaliation, without trying to make her pay for it emotionally. It means giving her freedom while still keeping your heart open. Over time, this way of responding builds deep trust. When she sees that you can handle her need for space without collapsing, accusing, or punishing, she will feel safer in the relationship. She will know that she does not have to sacrifice her individuality or independence to be close to you. This kind of freedom paradoxically strengthens intimacy because love flourishes where there is choice, not where there is coercion. By respecting her space, you allow the bond to grow from a place of genuine desire rather than fear-based obligation. In the end, respecting her space without punishing her is about embodying emotional maturity. It requires self-awareness, self-control, and a willingness to let go of the need for constant validation. Instead of reacting from fear, you hold steady in trust. Instead of punishing, you create safety. Instead of demanding closeness, you allow it to return naturally. The irony is that the more space you give without pressure, the more likely she is to feel drawn back toward you. This is the quiet power of patience, presence, and respect, the qualities that sustain lasting connection. When a woman begins to back away, it is easy to focus entirely on her actions. You may start analyzing her words, her tone, her text frequency, or every small sign of change in her behavior. While paying attention has its place, obsessing over her can distract you from the most important factor in the situation, your own energy and presence. Relationships are not just about what you say or do. They are about the unspoken signals you carry in your body, your tone, and your overall state of being. Checking your own energy and presence is essential because often her pulling away is not only about her, but about how she is experiencing you. Energy is contagious. If you are radiating neediness, anxiety, or desperation, even if you try to hide it with words, she will feel it. Human beings are deeply sensitive to subtle emotional cues. A woman may not be able to logically explain why she feels less drawn to you, but she will notice when your presence feels heavy, clingy, or insecure. On the other hand, if you are calm, grounded, and secure in yourself, she will feel safer and more open, even during moments of distance. This is why checking in with your inner state is so critical before reacting to her withdrawal. Start by asking yourself, what energy am I bringing into this moment? Are you trying to pull her closer because you are afraid of losing her? Are you attaching your self-worth to her attention? Are you operating from fear rather than confidence? The answers may not always be comfortable, but honesty with yourself is necessary for growth. If you notice tension in your chest, a restless urge to act, or a feeling of panic rising, those are signals that you are out of alignment. Rather than chasing her to calm those feelings, turn inward and tend to them yourself. Presence is the way you show up in any given interaction. It is not only about what you say, but about the energy behind it. Imagine speaking the words, "I'm fine," while your posture is slouched, your voice is shaky, and your eyes dart away nervously. The words may say one thing, but your presence communicates another. In the same way, you may say you respect her space, but if your energy is filled with tension or resentment, she will feel it immediately. True presence is about embodying consistency between your words, your emotions, and your actions. One of the most powerful ways to regulate your energy is through self-awareness practices. Breathing deeply, pausing before reacting, journaling your emotions, or even engaging in physical exercise can help release pent-up anxiety. These practices shift you from a reactive state into a grounded one. When you are centered, you stop leaking insecurity and start radiating calm strength. Women, like anyone, are naturally drawn to someone who carries an energy of stability because it feels trustworthy and safe. Checking your energy also means reflecting on how you have been showing up in the relationship overall. Have you been attentive and present, or have you been distracted and unavailable? Have you been leading with confidence, or have you been relying too heavily on her to make you feel secure? Sometimes her backing away is not a rejection, but a response to an imbalance. Instead of blaming her, consider whether your presence has shifted in a way that contributed to her pulling back. This is not about self-criticism, but about taking responsibility for the energy you bring. Another layer of presence is your ability to stay in the moment. Often when she withdraws, your mind leaps ahead into catastrophic stories. "She doesn't love me anymore," "she's leaving me," or "I've lost her." These imagined futures drain your energy and pull you out of the present. But true presence means staying here and now. In this moment, you are still yourself, still capable, still whole. By grounding in the present instead of spiraling into fear about the future, you shift your energy from desperation to confidence. It is also valuable to consider what kind of presence you want to cultivate in the relationship. Do you want to be the man who reacts with panic every time she takes a step back, or the one who remains steady, calm, and inviting no matter the circumstance? When you choose to embody the latter, you not only improve your relationship, but also develop qualities that benefit every area of your life. Presence is leadership. Presence is trustworthiness. Presence is power without force. When you check your own energy and align it with grounded presence, you stop chasing and start attracting. You no longer rely on her actions to feel secure because you carry that security within yourself. This changes the entire dynamic. Instead of her feeling pressured by your neediness, she feels drawn to your steadiness. Instead of feeling suffocated, she feels free and safe. In this way, your energy becomes the anchor that allows the relationship to breathe and grow. Ultimately, checking your energy and presence is about taking responsibility for what you can control. You cannot control her moods, her cycles, or her choices, but you can control the way you show up by being aware of your state, regulating your emotions, and embodying calm confidence. You create an environment where love can thrive. When she steps back, instead of collapsing or chasing, you stand firm in who you are. That is the kind of presence that not only makes her more likely to return, but also makes you a stronger and more grounded person in the process. When a woman starts to back away, the most tempting thing to do is to push harder for answers. You may feel an urge to demand explanations, insist on clarity, or pressure her into telling you what is going on. These reactions often come from fear, not from wisdom, and while they might temporarily force her to talk, they rarely build true intimacy. What strengthens connection in moments of distance is communication that comes from calm curiosity instead of control. It is the ability to open dialogue without forcing outcomes, to invite honesty without demanding it, and to express yourself in a way that creates safety rather than pressure. Calm curiosity begins with the energy you bring into the conversation. So if you approach her with a tense tone, raised eyebrows, or an accusatory vibe, she will immediately feel defensive. The human nervous system is highly sensitive to emotional signals, and when someone senses they are being interrogated or judged, they shut down. But if you approach with genuine curiosity, soft eyes, steady voice, relaxed body, she feels a very different message that you are not there to control her, but to understand her. This opens the door to vulnerability and honesty. The difference between curiosity and control lies in intention. When you communicate from control, your intention is to get a specific answer, to steer her back into closeness, or to reduce your own discomfort. You might ask questions, but underneath them is an agenda. Tell me what I want to hear so I feel better. When you communicate from curiosity, your intention is simply to understand. You do not predetermine what she must say, nor do you rush her process. You create space for her truth, even if it is not what you hope to hear. This kind of openness is rare, but it is the foundation of trust. A curious approach might sound like, I've noticed you seem a little distant, and I want to respect your space. At the same time, I care about you and would like to understand what you're feeling when you're ready to share. Notice how this language combines awareness, patience, and invitation. There is no accusation, no pressure, no hidden threat. Compare that to a controlling approach. Why are you ignoring me? Did I do something wrong? Just tell me already. The second version is reactive and needy, making her feel cornered. The first creates a sense of freedom and safety, which makes it more likely she will open up willingly. Communicating with calm curiosity also requires patience. You cannot expect her to immediately reveal everything just because you ask gently. Sometimes she may not even know why she is pulling back. Human emotions are complex, and often people need time to process before they can articulate what they feel. By giving her that time, you show respect for her process. Pushing for instant answers might soothe your anxiety, but it undermines the natural unfolding of connection. Trust is built in the waiting, not in the demanding. Another key part of calm communication is listening without defensiveness. If she does share her feelings, you must resist the urge to interrupt, correct, or justify yourself. True curiosity means you value understanding her perspective even if it challenges your ego. If she says, I've been feeling a little overwhelmed, and your immediate response is, well, that's not my fault, you shut down the conversation. But if you respond with, thank you for telling me. Can you help me understand more about what feels overwhelming? You keep the dialogue open. This does not mean abandoning your own truth, but it means prioritizing connection over control. It is also worth recognizing that calm curiosity benefits you as much as it benefits her. When you shift from control to curiosity, you free yourself from the exhausting need to predict or dictate outcomes. Instead of obsessing over what she might say, you approach with openness, ready to learn something new. This mindset reduces your anxiety because it stops you from trying to manage what is outside your control. You discover that being curious is far less stressful than being controlling. Of course, curiosity must be balanced with honesty. It is not about silencing your own needs or pretending you have no feelings. It is perfectly okay to express how her distance affects you. The difference lies in how you express it. Saying, I feel a little uncertain when you pull away, but I want to handle it with patience, is very different from saying, you make me feel insecure when you do this. The first takes responsibility for your emotions while still showing curiosity about hers. The second places blame and veers back into control. When you practice communicating with calm curiosity, you build a deeper kind of intimacy. She learns that she can be honest without fearing punishment. She learns that you are more interested in understanding than in winning. She learns that her voice matters, even when it is uncomfortable. And you learn to meet uncertainty with patience, to let go of control, and to grow stronger in your own presence. These lessons strengthen not only the relationship, but also your character as a partner and as a person. Ultimately, when she backs away, your words and tone can either create walls or build bridges. Control erects walls, curiosity builds bridges. By approaching with calm energy, genuine interest, and patience, you transform distance into an opportunity for deeper connection. Instead of making her feel trapped, you make her feel safe. Instead of pushing her further away, you invite her to come closer on her own terms. This is the quiet power of communicating with curiosity. It creates space for love to breathe, and it lays the foundation for a bond that is both strong and free. When a woman begins to step back, it can stir up deep emotions, fear of rejection, frustration at the loss of closeness, or even anger at feeling shut out. In these moments, many people swing to extremes. Either they collapse all of their own needs to avoid conflict, or they harden into coldness and withdraw love as a form of self-protection. Neither approach creates healthy connection. What truly allows a relationship to thrive is the balance between holding boundaries and staying compassionate. Boundaries without compassion feel rigid and punishing, while compassion without boundaries feels weak and self-sacrificing. Together, they create respect, safety, and lasting intimacy. Boundaries are not walls. They are guidelines for how you want to be treated and how you are willing to show up. They define what is acceptable and what is not, not as a way of controlling the other person, but as a way of honoring your own well being. For example, if her pulling back turns into complete silence for weeks without communication, you have the right to acknowledge that this does not work for you. Compassion enters when you communicate that truth, not with hostility or threats, but with kindness and respect. You might say, I understand you need space and I want to honor that. At the same time, I need some level of communication to feel connected. Can we find a balance that works for both of us? This kind of statement illustrates the blend of boundary and compassion. You are not dismissing her need for space, but you are also not abandoning your own need for communication. You respect her, but you also respect yourself. Too often people confuse love with self-erasure. They believe that in order to keep someone close, they must sacrifice their own needs entirely. But this only builds resentment and weakens the relationship over time. A partnership thrives when both people feel free to honor themselves while still caring deeply for each other. Holding boundaries also prevents you from slipping into unhealthy patterns. When someone pulls away, the fear of losing them can tempt you to accept treatment that feels disrespectful or to ignore your own pain just to keep the peace. But when you abandon your boundaries, you send the message that your needs do not matter. Over time, this erodes your confidence and shifts the relationship into an unbalanced dynamic where one person's comfort is prioritized over the other's dignity. Compassion means understanding her perspective, but boundaries mean remembering that your perspective matters too. The way you deliver boundaries is just as important as having them. A boundary stated with anger, if you don't text me back, I'm done with you, may get attention, but it often escalates conflict and shuts down honest communication. A boundary stated with compassion, I care about you and I want us to feel close. When communication stops completely, it makes me feel distant. I'd like us to talk about how we can handle space in a way that still feels respectful to both of us, creates the possibility of collaboration. The difference lies in tone, intention, and energy. Anger tries to control, compassion seeks understanding. Another important aspect of compassionate boundaries is consistency. If you say you need a certain level of respect but then continually accept less, you weaken both your boundary and your credibility. Compassion does not mean endlessly tolerating behavior that hurts you. It means giving grace, offering understanding, but also standing firm in what is non-negotiable for your emotional health. True compassion includes compassion for yourself. You cannot give love freely if you are running on empty or if you are silently suffering. There is also a subtle strength in compassionate boundaries that creates attraction rather than resistance. When she sees that you can hold your ground without becoming harsh, she feels both respect and safety. Respect because you value yourself enough not to bend to every whim. Safety because you can communicate with kindness rather than punishment. This balance shows maturity. It shows that you are capable of honoring her needs while also protecting your own. That is the essence of a true partner, someone who loves deeply without losing themselves. Boundaries also act as a mirror. They show the other person what you are willing to participate in and what you are not. If she continually crosses those boundaries despite your compassionate communication, it reveals something important about the compatibility of the relationship. Compassion ensures you do not approach this with bitterness, but boundaries ensure you do not stay stuck in a dynamic that erodes your well-being. Love requires both open arms and a strong spine. In the long run, holding boundaries while staying compassionate builds trust. She learns that you will not collapse into neediness nor explode into aggression. She learns that she can be honest with you without fear of punishment, but she also learns that you are not a pushover. You show her that you are capable of both strength and kindness, both firmness and warmth. This combination is rare, but it is what creates the conditions for true partnership. So when she pulls away, do not abandon your needs to chase her, and do not close your heart to protect yourself. Instead, take the middle path, honor what you require to feel respected, but express it with care, empathy, and patience. Boundaries guide the relationship, compassion softens it, and together they form the balance that allows love to grow in a way that is both strong and free. When someone you love begins to step back, it can feel like the ground beneath you is shifting. The instinct is often to see this distance as a threat, a sign that the relationship is crumbling, or proof that your connection is weaker than you thought. Yet distance does not always signal the end. In many cases, it is a test, an opportunity to see whether the bond you share can withstand discomfort, uncertainty, and the natural ebb and flow of closeness. How you respond in these moments often says more about the strength of the relationship than the distance itself. True partnership is not built in times of ease, but in times of challenge. When everything feels effortless, it is easy to believe love is unshakable. But when one partner needs space, becomes distant, or wrestles with personal struggles, the relationship is placed under pressure. These are the moments that reveal whether the foundation is strong or fragile. Do you collapse into panic and chase her with desperation? Do you punish her with coldness or resentment? Or do you remain steady, patient, and compassionate while also respecting yourself? The answer determines whether the bond deepens or fractures. Seeing distance as a test means shifting your mindset. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin asking, "What is this teaching me about myself, about her, and about us?" This perspective transforms distance from a crisis into an opportunity for growth. It invites you to look at how you handle discomfort, how you regulate your emotions, and how you balance love with independence. In essence, it is not just about whether she comes back closer. It is about whether you can meet the challenge with maturity. One of the first lessons distance teaches is patience. When a partner pulls back, your desire for closeness can ignite impatience. You may want answers immediately, to fix things right away, or to restore harmony on your terms. But true partnership requires respecting timing that is not always your own. If she needs space, pushing for instant resolution will likely drive her further away. Patience communicates trust in her process, in the relationship, and in your ability to withstand temporary uncertainty without falling apart. Another lesson is self-reliance. Distance forces you to face yourself more clearly. Without the constant presence of her attention, you are left with your own thoughts, insecurities, and fears. While uncomfortable, this is a powerful mirror. It shows you where you might have relied too heavily on the relationship to validate your worth. True partnership is not about fusing into one another so completely that you cannot stand alone. It is about two whole individuals choosing to walk together. When you learn to steady yourself during her absence, you become stronger, more secure, and more capable of bringing your best self to the relationship. Distance also tests your ability to communicate with respect. Some use withdrawal as a weapon or respond to it with blame. But a mature partner recognizes that even when emotions run high, words carry weight. Choosing to approach her with calm curiosity instead of control, or with compassion instead of accusation, shows that you are capable of building bridges rather than walls. The way you communicate during times of distance often sets the tone for whether trust deepens or erodes. Importantly, distance tests your boundaries too. While compassion matters, so does self-respect. A true partnership cannot thrive if one person's needs are always prioritized at the expense of the others. If her distance becomes prolonged silence or neglect, the test is not only about patience, but also about your ability to assert what you need with clarity and kindness. Passing the test does not mean tolerating anything. It means balancing respect for her space with respect for yourself. Over time, these tests reveal whether the connection is sustainable. If both of you can navigate moments of distance without crumbling, punishing, or abandoning yourselves, the relationship emerges stronger. You prove to one another that love is not fragile, that it can survive space, uncertainty, and temporary disconnection. This resilience builds a deeper trust, the kind of trust that says we can weather storms together, not just bask in the sunshine. In this way, distance becomes a gift disguised as struggle. It strips away illusions of effortless love and replaces them with the reality of partnership. Two individuals navigating the complexities of life while choosing each other again and again. When you see distance as a test, you stop fearing it. Instead, you welcome it as part of the rhythm of intimacy, as a challenge that refines both you and the relationship. So the next time she steps back, resist the urge to see it as the end. Instead, see it as a test, a chance to show patience, strength, compassion, and self-respect. See it as an opportunity to grow into the kind of partner who can hold steady in uncertainty and offer safety in the midst of space. For in the end, true partnership is not proven when everything is easy. It is proven in the moments when distance enters the room and love chooses to stay steady anyway,